Welcome back to European LCS Studios here in Berlin, where we are at the finale of Roccat versus Origen.
Some people call it Telecom Wars, others call it El Clasico. For us, it is the battle to avoid relegation and the battle for Mount Doom, just to take it back to an old one.
The battle for Mount Doom. The Hobbit story. By the way, you're seeing on your screen that Origen are on stage. They're ready to play. They've actually been sitting on stage for about 3 or 4 minutes while Roccat are still backstage chatting. This is a tough scenario because, again, reminder, battle for relegation, battle for promotion tournament. With Vitality securing that series earlier, Origen needs to win to stay within 1 game of Vitality.
You're putting more pressure on him. He can hear you right now. Look at Pekka, man.
Trust me, I'm not putting more pressure on him than he is himself, right?
That is true.
Expect his organization, expect his team. He's put himself into a support role, his 3rd competitive role on the LCS stage. Following his ADC exploits last year. And look, the team fights in the mid game for Origen have been okay, but their early game was outclassed previously by Roccat.
Yeah, and this time around, Roccat had more to offer in the late game, both the composition, but also much better early game. You know, Max Law going off, getting a few kills left and right. Betsy Swain, like, come on. Everyone will remember this series, and they're going to be like, Betsy Swain, that happened. It might happen this game. This might be the situation where you ban the Swain in the second ban phase, because you're like, you know what? We don't want to deal with it.
Ban the Swain, maybe.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying
maybe.
you might.
It's a maybe, right? And you did cover your bases. You didn't predict it. Origen at side selection on game 3. They have elected blue side. Okay, so this is going against what they did in game 1. Game 1 they went red side. They went for that counter pick possibility, and they ended up running the Victor into the Ahri. How else can Origen adjust in the ban phase as we can see Roccat setting up on stage?
I mean, let's be real. These games are not decided in the pick and ban phase.
Fair.
Technically, you can run exactly the same composition. It's in-game decisions that needs to change if the team wants to be like superior. But again, as I said during the cast, like I feel like both teams are just so close to each other. Like in terms of overall level, that it's hard to kind of look at one team and say, yeah, they will get a big advantage and they will close the game because Roccat had the big advantage. Origen stopped Baron again and again and again, and suddenly Origen snuck the Baron. And it was like, oh, this game is actually now wide open once again. But I want to see early game focus from Max Law. Like Max Law is really the man you're looking at for Roccat to force some of these plays early, because they need to force some of those plays.
Yeah, they do. And Max Law is in this series had 1 game where he was invisible and 1 game where he was exceptional.
Yeah.
You know, that previous game, Lee Sin performance was very, very good. And despite a few mishaps in the mid to late game.
And now Max Law is such a prima donna that he doesn't want to go on stage, and everyone else is kind of waiting just for him.
Can read it on stage.
You can read it after.
So you're literally just leaving a bunch of flame for him to arrive home to. Like,
it's
that's not
flame.
Cool, bro.
It's not flame. Cool. There's no flame. It's more like, please, I want to see the 3rd game. Come back. We love you, Max Law.
12 at night. This is the beginning of the 2nd series, game 3. Max Law has returned.
Oh, there he is. Look at this guy.
And we have a bunch of troopers here.
Woo, woo. I mean, woo! Yeah, there we go. I like it.
Thank you very much to everybody that's remained with us here in the studio as well as watching online. It's been an interesting series, you know, and we are trying to have a little bit of fun, but we're also trying to drive home the seriousness. No, but it's such a unique situation.
It is.
How often in a caster's career do you legitimately get to cast 2 teams at the bottom of a table, like breaking
every single split,
a 0-14 loss streak?
That's true.
And a 0-31 loss streak. Like, those aren't great moments, but they are still special, right? They're special in a different way.
That's why I was very happy.
Still unique.
You know, I was happy that we got to cast this series here, and it's actually been almost everything I imagined coming into it. Like
really
2 really even teams and a lot of back and forth.
It delivered on everything we anticipated.
So, pick a man base. Let's all reset. New game, new day. It's actually a new day right now.
So it's a new day. It's potentially a new dawn. It's potentially a new life for either Origen or Roccat, and definitely not for me.
Oh, you are done after this, Trevor.
I don't know the rest of the lyrics. I can't keep that up. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I ran out of steam there. But power picks, Shen, Camille, LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Varus is the other top tier one.
Oh, Varus will get banned on red side almost every single time. They're leaving it for last. See, we get some shenanigans. They do ban away Sartorius Gragas, which was pretty good in the first game.
Yeah.
We have to say. Now, man, also keeping the focus as a coach, you know, you're sitting there watching the game, you're writing down notes, you're kind of preparing your next pick and ban phase. Because it's very easy to mess up the pick and ban phase as well and put your team in a disadvantage.
We've seen that more times than I would like over the last few weeks. And a reminder to everybody at home, if you are just tuning in, we're on patch 7.4. Oriana is disabled due to the incident earlier today. And last ban for Origen was Zyra.
That means Malzahar. There's Malzahar first. Oh!
Varus!
Damn, Roccat is like, oh, this is cool. They're like, ha ha ha. You want to first pick Malzahar? No. Now Varus you need to consider as well. Because if they go Varus, then you just go Jhin against it and you take like that trade. But Varus is such a power pick. Like, he's so good. He was left untouched
Will
in this
Tabs
patch.
play it? Tabs who's
will,
played,
yeah, 100%.
who's played Ezreal above everything else.
But this now means that Roccat can go for the Malzahar. That's why they're leaving Varus open to be like, you ban Zyra, so you want to first pick Malzahar because you want to avoid the Zyra in lane, so they're going to get it. They've been picking jungle every time, so that's Rengar. 2 power picks for Roccat. Now, MF is still open as a counter pick to Malzahar, and I would love to see that from Peke. For my AD carry, come on. For sure he can play it, and Varus MF is such a strong lane against Malzahar, and you can bully him early.
All right, so Max Law played one game on that Rengar.
He might just play Lula again,
It was a win.
He's going to play Lula because Rengar's there as well.
Origen going to have some options. Comfortable pick on the Graves for Wisdom. You know, pretty good in the previous game.
Whoa! Damn, let's move on.
Saved it there.
Did you?
I mean, Lulu into Rengar, we've seen that a couple times. UOL sort of, I don't want to say famously, but UOL used it very well
100%.
earlier in the split.
So, Lulu as a pick against Malzahar and Rengar, or MF to bully the lane. Show us what you got, Pekka. You got none of them.
Oh, Foxy's not going to be able to play Rumble. It's not banned this time.
Oh, we should use it anyway.
Denied.
We should use it anyway just to show what the other guy could have done on the champion. So, I think that's good. Oh, Rumble actually, yeah, been banned so often. Great pick up in the top lane. Definitely one of the S tiers at the moment. Also doesn't have like any like direct hard counters, which just makes him useless. But this means Origen, insane, explosive mid-game, lethality AD carry, lethality jungler, Rumble top lane. This mid-game is crazy strong if they can actually force fights around it. Yeah, that's a big if. Sorry. That's a very big if.
It's just caught me.
We should get a graphic with the if.
Yeah, if they can force fights. Now, actually, I mean, Origen in the late game, they played around that Baron pretty well. Looking at this, like, weird phase 1 picks, there's not a lot of mirroring necessarily, so that's why you've got Syndra Lulu banned from Roccat, maybe going to amplify the chances of misfortune on the side of Peke. Alternatively, the Karma, which he's played a bunch. With Jhin denied from Hyanin, does that raise Ezreal's stock? What does Hyanin default to?
That's
Ashe is gone as well now.
Ezreal is severe, but none of them are fantastic against Varus. Like, I just want to see Origen all in on this bot lane because they're going to get AD carry advantage. They can get support advantage with MF as well. And I think that would just give them like such a strong early to make him. Oh, Ziggs, of course, is another one, but very heavy on the magic damage on the side of Roccat right now. Because top lane, it's mainly tanks we see, and not a whole lot of tanks other than like a Poppy really offer you proper physical damage. So give me MF here. Come on, Pekka. Give me that MF.
What if Foxy wants to run some sort of carry? Fiora's been banned a couple times in phase 2. There's a last pick potential here.
He's gonna go Gnar.
If Sartorius runs a tank, I mean, Gnar or Fiora brings you some AD damage.
Sartorius has the Rumble already.
Touché, I'm blind. I'm so blind.
Pekka, why not just go for win lane? Okay, Alistar is another pick we've seen a bit against Malzahar because you can, with your combo, space it out so you proc the passive first of Malzahar and then you can Q him after and knock him up. And also, you can't really ulti him. The Alistar is kind of useless, right? He already has an inbuilt QSS in his ulti, but I'm looking something like a Gnar here as a last pick to get some physical damage on the side of Roccat, and also as a pick against Rumble where you can go Hexdrinker early. It's a very old matchup that we used to see a lot. Renekton is another one you can try and use for physical damage.
What I like about this is damage again. It's not two tanks in the top lane,
damage.
But fight potential. Renekton or Gnar. What does Foxy want to lock in? 2 seconds left. It will be the Gnar in the top lane. So some wombo combo team fight power And again, two fairly complex team compositions here from both sides. Both with some scaling, both with wave clear. Like,
yeah.
This is one of those games where it's honed down.
There's no easy to execute composition here. There's no easy to play tank in the top lane either. Like, it's
they have all of the tools and the damage to stay ahead and
around the Gnar and his Mega Gnar. So super, super interesting last pick and ban phase. And as you said, like, dare I say it, it should be explosive. Now,
it was pretty explosive in the last game.
It was, and then obviously we had the very slow mid to late game, but like there's engage on both sides. There's strong mid games on both sides. There's no like easy to execute tanks as I highlighted before. This game should actually be a lot of fun to watch. So much damage on each side. And we get to yell Mega Gnar.
It's one of my favorite spell names in the game, being able to yell Gnar with that grumble. Ladies and gentlemen, jump onto Twitter. Let us know who you think will win. Hashtag 1GWin or hashtag R1CWin. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the real one. Hashtag OGWin, hashtag RockWin. One series victory. One more Nexus. One more time will lead us to 1 AM, and a team will get their first win of the spring split.
Yeah, shout out to everyone who's still in the studio watching. It is actually fantastic that you guys are still here, making so much noise. I believe the last train stops at either, is it at 12 or at 1? Either way, you guys might be stuck here. Sucks for you, but you can just be here for tomorrow's show.
Get early positioning at the door as we load up onto the rift for no! Oh, that was a little bit of an emotional reaction, sorry.
Tell me how you really feel, Trey.
I thought I just did.
We're investigating. Turns out it is...
All right, it's a technical mouse issue. Could just be a case of plugging it in, and we tried turning it on and off again, and we'll find out.
We had some old jokes earlier today. There's one I'm missing from the EU LCS related to mouse issues. It's an old school one. It's one we haven't gotten to use in a long time. But did you guys know there was a player called Kirk,
oh my God,
who used to have a trackball? So every time there was a pause with Millennium or Alternative, whichever team he was on at that time, we would always make the same joke, like me and D-Man or me and Joe, and we would kind of laugh and be like, oh, what if it's his trackball and we don't have a spare one? What do we do? Now that's an old one, and everyone hated us for it, and now brought it up again, so screw all of you if you hate it still, but it's back.
And I hate you for bringing it back up.
For trackball, mate! Trackball, it was our one storyline.
I'd be actually impressed if a lot of our viewers even know what a trackball is.
Because I've seen
legitimately. I think a trackball mouse predates a lot of people who play League of Legends. So like, Google trackball mouse and tweet at Fisher if you know what it is, because I don't think...
They do. Otherwise, they will know the story and how much people hated that one story because it's been mentioned a few times on Reddit and so on.
I can't believe you thread necroed that one.
Dude, it's a third game in Roccat Origen. It's past 12. We're still here. I can bring back old memories.
Touche. You know what?
Just to annoy people. I literally just did that to annoy the people who hated the story.
I'll give you that one. And we look back into the game. No real surprises here in terms of summoner spells. Flash Exhaust for Betsy. Cleanse for Nahyun.
Okay.
And let's see what Maxwell can do on Rengar. Slightly weaker pre-6 ganks, but he's got lanes that can set him up very well.
Yep.
Rise and Gnar, terrifying. Got some CC, got some damage chase potential as well. And another Raptor camp starts for Maxwell and Foxy. It's equalized on the other side. Sorry, correction. Wisdom Sartorius are starting on Raptor. It's Maxwell and Foxy that are starting this time around. Previously, they've gone blue buff in previous 2 games.
And we have Roccat with a composition that can easily play all 3 lanes. Later on in the game, Gnar one lane beats out the Rumble once he gets a bit of MR in there. Rise goes down to the other lane. Wisdom with a sneaky path here. Did his Raptors rush straight to blue buff to take that one down. And now he will actually steal the way. So Maxwell doesn't know this is happening. There was no ward spotting it. And it's a very unusual path for Wisdom to take. Don't even think he got to clear out his full Raptor camp before he got over there.
Doesn't look like it by the minimap, at least.
Yeah, take it away.
Obviously, Wisdom not going to go back to clear that out just yet either. So jumps into the Brambleback pit. Looks like he wants to get his hands on that red buff. Thank you very much, observers.
Left the big one because The reason the big one was left was because he wanted to save Smite to steal away the blue. And normally you always smite the big raptor here. So by him not doing that, taking the small ones, rushing over, take away blue buff with the smite, he can now return to his own jungle and get everything else.
Look at the wards that we did just placed inside Origen's jungle in that bottom quadrant. One in the Krug camp and one in the entrance to river, just on the left-hand side of your screen. Couple of pings as Peke gets a combo down onto Hyanin. Tabs tags him with a piercing arrow, but wave being pushed in. Varus, Alistar, early levels into Ziggs, Mel's. There's no surprises there. And I guess now we're kind of looking at Peke and Tabs. Can they play aggressively when they get a few levels under the belt? Can they look to combo that Mel's?
I mean, I definitely feel like they picked the Alistar for like two separate reasons. One, if they want to try and play around bottom side after level 6, Alistar can come in handy. Or if they just say, you know what, we're fine just going even in lane or losing slightly, but then we want to have the Alistar for late game fights, where he, of course, has a lot of power. He needs to actually scale up now in levels with his ulti after the nerf that happened a long time ago.
I'm not sure why they'd want to invest in any sort of late game. You know, I just can't put my finger on it. But
no, that's the thing. Like in this best of 10 here, the games have been very quick.
Oh yes, oh yes. And you were talking about laning a second ago, Deficio. Let's take a look at Sartorius' Rumble. Denying that pick from Foxy.
Oh yeah.
And Foxy's Rumble, when he played it, was phenomenal. I mean, absolutely amazing.
I mean, look at that man.
This is Foxy's stats, right? Literally the best performance on Rumble, all split.
In the league, yeah.
In the league.
Highest numbers in the league.
But it was a single game.
Now, context on this one, because this seems really weird. Why are we showing him, you know, Roccat, Foxy on Rumble here? We were kind of diving in to look for something on Foxy to highlight. We're like, okay, where's he really been like stand out? Because he's been a very quiet player. He's not had like any huge performances, except for this one Rumble game we found. You were like, okay. If he gets his Rumble, bam, we can hype up the last game. But sadly, it's been denied every single time. And gotta see if Sartorius can do the same. But it's been a pick that we haven't seen a whole lot of from Foxy himself, except for that one game.
Yep, one single game. The
Man.
outlier. And
it lost a lot of value because he wasn't playing it.
It did. It did a little bit. But I mean, you delivered that well, though. Thank you, Deficio.
But it was supposed to be us going like, look how insane he is, and then you were supposed to whisper like, in one game. But now it didn't really happen. So.
Max Law really did not like that blast cone. Wanted to get rid of it. Gonna run into
wisdom.
Wisdom. Jungle on jungle combat. Betsy is pushed up very aggressively. Betsy can respond. Wisdom's already flashed. Flash over from Betsy. Rune Prison goes down. First blood to Max Law.
Man, that is a perfect start here for Roccat. Pre-level 6 Rengar gets a kill. Max Law again, the man with the early aggression. Peke using a little combo we talked about there. You headbutt in to block the passive, and then you can stun Malzahar after. Because you don't actually want to knock him further away. You just want to break that passive. So it's fine. It's perfect that actually denies it. And now he wants to stop him from freezing.
Like a headbutt to the face for Wadid. And I don't think it got the wave all the way into the tower, but always help out ever so slightly. We jump to the mid lane. Nation's being run down by Betsy, trading Twin Fangs and overloads and skill shots. Landing for Betsy, pretty good accuracy. Exhaust available, Flash is not.
Again, remember, Roccat is waiting to have this rise in one lane, you know, now in the other one. So for them having an early game where it's fairly even is perfectly fine, because they need Rod of Ages and everything. So Sartorius is roaming down. He's gonna ulti. Betsy no flash.
Betsy's in so much trouble. Look at that. Miasma into Flame Spitter. And Sartorius burns down Betsy where he stands.
All right, great little roam from Sartorius. He's come alive, you know, this man, the last 2 weeks. Been much better, honestly, and much more active as well.
Yeah, good teleports, good plays in the mid lane. I know the action has just ended, but I wanted to look at Nahyun's Cassiopeia a little bit, because Nahyun as a player, despite being talked about for a lot of reasons, has actually struggled on certain champions a lot. And you can't necessarily point this directly to just him. Team has lost a lot, so therefore his stats are going to be low. But like his average damage per minute, very, very low on Cassiopeia, 275. The league average is over 420. CSD also behind his opponents. And we need to see him finding a little bit more consistency and a little bit more stronger play.
Yeah, I think what's been hard for Nahyun is to play fairly low mobility champions, because the team has been so uncoordinated, and whenever they kind of enter these fights, it's really hard for him on a Syndra, on a Cassiopeia to kind of position properly. Normally you rely on your team a lot there, but they haven't had that synergy, so he's been kind of caught out on his own. That obviously means he gets to deal almost no damage, and then he just looks extremely weak as a champion. But at the same time, you know, despite having some of these problems and the numbers not being behind him, I still feel like Neon in a lot of the games from Origen actually were doing like as much as he could do.
Yeah, it's one of those cases where when your team is losing around you many times,
right. But this is definitely this is not saying that Neon has been like the best and everyone else has been bad or anything. No. It's been a team problem. He's had a few good games here and there, but also had a lot of games where you could question a lot of stuff happening. And I think that's the same for both teams. Yes. Surprise, surprise! That's why there's 0-7.
Yeah. Yeah.
The big statements coming here after 12. We saved all the good ones, you know, the ones you didn't expect.
Oh yes. Like the history lesson. Thank you for that.
Trackball. Trackball.
Not relevant for now as Maxlaw roams up to the mid lane. Got access to that hunt on level 6 if Nahum pushes out further. Oh, he doesn't even need to. Jumped on. Come on, Maxlaw. Leaps over the wall. Roller strike not going to stun him and even turns away from the petrifying gaze. But flash down for a low mobility mid laner.
And no ulti used by Maxlaw. He simply just jumped from the brush onto Nahum. That's very, very important. Rengar, you always track like the first ultis. How successful are they? Can he get a few more kills? So, hand over blue buff. Still kind of tracking Maxlaw around. So the top lane is going as planned, dead even. You wait for now to get a few items, and then he can start just pushing the wave over and over. Betsy again going to the other lane as we highlighted before, once he's strong enough. And then Origen is the team who's looking to force plays. Like the problem with like Cassiopeia is always, she never had a place in the mid game because she couldn't just sit in mid lane. Her wave clear is fine if she has time on the wave, but if you're sieging, then her wave clear is really weak. She can't go side lane either very effectively because so low mobility. Yep. She gets ganked, she dies very, very easy. So you kind of need to put her somewhere, but you can't really put her anywhere. And that's why teams started drafting like Tahm Kench with her, because then she could go side lane, Tahm Kench would sit mid, and he could ult down towards her in case stuff was happening. Not in this game though, so we have to see how Nahum plays out the mid to late game. Betsy will have the advantage in the side lane, for sure, in terms of also like mobility and CC and everything. And that's going to be good for Roccat.
Yeah, there's no room for error for Nahum. Low mobility champion, like you mentioned, a lot of the weaknesses in terms of the kits. And there was a little bit of a potential contest around Vision and the Scuttle Crab for this Infernal Drake. Much earlier focus. Over the course of the last 2 games, 13 dragons have been killed, and 11 of them have gone to Origen. A huge amount, and Roccat this time round, no contest, no one around, so easily going to pick up the first dragon of the game in this final match on day 1 yet in week 7.
Yeah, to go back to the champ select. Almost.
Piercing arrow was close.
One of the reasons I wanted to see like more of a lane bully support from Pekka was so that you had a winning bot lane on the side of Origen, and you had this counter pick in the mid lane. I call it counter, like Cassiopeia is a fine matchup against Ryze, and then you could actually put a lot of pressure on the bottom side of the map. Where you have these dragons. And then when you have a rumble, if you get one dragon and the next one they have to contest, Faxi gets to flash away. Not a whole lot else going on there,
but look at the bottom lane. Look at the bottom lane. Betsy also moving in for tower. Nahum, Sartorius, Wisdom, they're pushing onto the tower. Roccat have actually backed away. So looking at the tower damage, Origen might get tower first blood.
Oh, really well played if Origen can actually, they will get it down. Sartorius can tank it. Oh, actually no, they
not
can't.
Yet. But they should be able to get back in on the tower. Okay, all of a sudden, Hjarnen's being tagged up under tower. Tabs is knocked away. Teleport coming down onto the minions as well. Buying some time. Mega Inferno Bomb in behind Tabs. Exhaust onto Maxlaw. We jump onto Wisdom.
The camera is a disaster.
Maxlaw's running away.
What's happening? They failed.
12:30. Roccat don't get the tower.
Origen died. Hjarnen actually, so they engaged down bot lane. Roccat then went in for a dive. Maxlaw didn't get anything while Hjarnen died at the same time. We're gonna have to see the replay there. Origen defends the tower, take top lane tower, and Roccat completely butchers the whole thing.
Just like that, Origen pull significantly ahead in the early game. The tower, the kills.
We in game 3, Trevor. This is all or nothing. You can't drop the food on the ground. You need to be able to execute a play like that.
Yep.
They had TP as well. It was a possibility of 5 members bot lane for Roccat against just 2 Origen players. And Origen ended up getting a kill and defended the tower. World class. Right there. Calling it already.
I'm not touching that. Well, look, it's a good play by Origen, okay? Like I said, they pull ahead, they respond well to that dive, and it's a reactionary play, not necessarily a proactive play, but let's see how they use it going forward. Ghostblade for Tabs, Leandri's Torment for Sartorius, because both of them have the kills. Both of them got benefited first tower gold, and now they can use that itemization advantage to press further.
Yeah, we highlighted this in a champ select, like the mid game with lethality champions in Graves and Varus, combined with the Rumble, who's traditionally always been one of the best mid game top laners, is fantastic for Origen. Like insane spikes all across the board in terms of the damage, and their tank is the Alistar. It is the Alistar in the front, obviously. You have Bruisers then in the Graves and the Rumble right behind him, and then you have the two squishies in the back, and Nahun and Caps. Roccat will really struggle to contest the next Dragon if Origen keeps this control.
All right, looks like the vision is being set up here for Origen. How deep do they want to push into Roccat territory? We'll find out in a moment or two. No teleport for either top laner, and they're on about the same cooldown. But looking at, you know, the supports and the junglers holding hands, Peke and Wisdom relatively nearby here by the red buff. Maxwell, Wadid, they're also moving in. Wadid's got access to that nether grasp, so if he wants to jump and try lock down a target, he can.
You do not want the cow at any point. Stupid, sexy Peke walking at you, and you can't touch him.
Nope, you absolutely cannot.
Him. You want to, but you can't.
You cannot break his will.
All right, so Nahun left the bottom side. Maxwell was moving around, so this is a good engage from Origen, actually getting so much damage down. And then look here, ulti from Yanan, while Maxwell dives in, doesn't hit anything. And he just ends up dying, and Maxwell has to just jump out. Like, Nahun was down there at first when they were pushing in. He then left again and walked to mid lane. And Maxwell needed a lot of time before he could actually set up the dive.
Looking at setting up a dive, Wisdom and Peke grouping up towards Nahun's lane in the mid. Betsy still has flash, still has exhaust, so not necessarily super keen on diving him underneath the tower. And Peke instead just going to move away. He's got those Moby boots on the cow, so a lot of movement, speed to roam around between his lanes. And
what? You're right. I mean, what a great... I don't know. It's a great statement. He got those Moby boots, so a lot of movement.
Dude, do you see how quick he's running?
Yeah, he is. It was one of those very traditional caster comments. I love that we have.
Play-by-play statements. You can say.
No, it's a caster comment. It's like when we're thinking about what is it actually we want to talk about, we just have to keep talking. So it's like a filler statement coming out, being like, yeah, here with it. He's moving. He's
okay, here's some information you might actually appreciate. So we talked about Nahun's damage per minute on Cassio and how it's below the average, right? Most Cassiopeias at 15 minutes in game have dealt 2.5 thousand damage. This game, Nahun has dealt 5.4 thousand damage. Over double. Now, obviously, there's been some contests, there's been some fights, so improvement here from Nahun. Thank you very much, stats team, for staying on the ball and keeping us up to date. But that trend needs to continue, right? Nahun has to keep up this level of performance to make a difficult champion work.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Next step for Origen is the Mountain Drake. Problem is they can't really push out the lanes. Ziggs has this annoying thing where he gets some levels in his Q, he gets Lost Chapter into Morello Nomicon, and the gameplay of Ziggs in the bot lane is literally push. Nice, Jan.
No, don't ulti him. Let's say take. Why? Unbreakable Will comes down. What is it worth? It is Malzahar ulti for tank Alistar ulti 5 seconds before Dragon. The right call. We're about to find out.
Well, Tabs is out of mana as well, so Roccat feeling pretty confident that they have control on the bottom side. Maxwell is going to take out the control ward. As I was saying though, the gameplay of Ziggs at this point, especially if you want to play him in solo queue, is just push. Just Q the wave, over and over, and get damage on this tower. Just chip it down, then you execute it, and it gives Roccat bot lane control, because they always have to push in the bottom lane with the Ziggs. Tabs ran out of mana, went back to base. Not sure if Roccat saw his recall, because they didn't start the Dragon.
Roccat too slow, too late to the party. QSS has been picked up by Tabs on that last back. Gonna play into his favor if he's jumped on, and Wisdom now actually responding to some pressure in the mid lane. All right, Dragon did not get taken. What did committed his ultimate to potentially remove like the engage potential, the frontline potential.
That is big for Origen though. The fact that it didn't lose the Dragon when the bot lane had to recall. Ziggs will return to bot lane, will continue He's pushing, but now Origen might have a chance to actually like respond. Taps has some mana. You have your Alistar if you want to coordinate a gank. Because it's all about getting the push. That's like, a basic of League of Legends is literally just pushing lanes. It is so simple to think about, but if you can't push the lanes, you cannot properly set up for objectives.
While I agree the concept of pushing a lane is very simple, the next step of what do you do after it? Where do you go?
Of course.
That's where the complexity comes in, right? And that's what we're starting to see with these two teams, and maybe why our games have gone as long as they have.
Well, right now, Origen finally got to push out the bottom lane after the reset. They walk in, they start this one. They don't have a control ward, which is a big no-no. Shame on you, Pekka, for not having a control ward being put down near this dragon if you want to go for it.
No one's nearby.
No one from Roccat wants to contest.
Smite early from Wisdom. Mega Inferno Bomb not going to get used from Kianan. I wondered if it was going to. We're going to take a look at Sartorius. He's being jumped on. Betsy and Maxwell looking to run him down. Tower damage is very, very high. The exhaust will mitigate any kills, but while that's going on, Kianan's being jumped down in the bottom lane. Petrifying Gaze, that's just for a slow. Twin Fang off the Twin Fang. Mega Inferno Bomb in the tower. Not going to be enough. They end up trading 1 for 1.
So Origen getting the Mountain Drake, plus the kills here, will get the bot lane tower. Not the first one of the game, they already got top lane, so good trade from Origen. Take back my shame on you, Pekka, because Roccat were looking to make a play on top side. They completely gave up that Mountain Drake.
So it ends up being 1 kill each, 1 tower each, but Mountain to OG. So net gain, net advantage.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Still to OG. Also, if you look at where the kills are, right? It's in all the carries. Tabs, insta-QSS. Why did you do that?
The classic mistake. You forget to click tap to look at tabs and see if you had built a QSS.
I like
he had
that.
built
Tab squared. Tab squared.
Yes. Sartorius, sadly for him, he knew he was going to get ganked because nothing was happening on the bottom side. They were standing on a ward killing a Drake and no one contested it. So top side was the play for Roccat. Sadly reacted a little bit too late, that's why he dies. Good cross map though. But yeah, now with Roccat losing out on a Mountain Drake, still so even in gold trip. This is gonna be another one. Like, these games are legit the same. Like, these teams are just the same. They're so close, it's crazy. And we're gonna have this, and I promise you guys, I know it's 3 and 2.
Oh, don't promise a team fight. You always promise a team fight.
I promise you guys, the mid game, it will be explosive.
Okay.
It will be explosive. I'm telling you, if you guys all believe it at home and in the studio, then it will happen.
Charge your Spirit Bomb. Goku is calling on you.
Because look at the mid-game spikes everywhere from these guys. You know, 2 items completed on Rise.
Yeah, the double tier comp is coming into its own very, very soon.
Double tier.
Continuing to scale. Mountain Drake on one side.
There's a Malzahar who can flash in and ulti like, oh, Pekka! Explosive!
Jumps in. Double knockup. What did and Foxy running away. Sartorius trying to burn people down. Maxwell flashes over the wall. Mega Inferno Bomb into the no that I wanted to see. Expeke headbutts Foxy away. It's going to be a 1 for 1. Make that a 1 for 2. Roccat win the fights.
Man, okay, Pekka wanted some action right there. Nahum was bot lane, pushing on his own, and then Pekka went aggressive. Ends up losing the fight, but if Nahum can get some damage on bot, nah, he can't. He's too risky. He's too risky. He has to back away. I promised all of you.
You did. Your timing was actually exceptional.
It's impressive.
It is.
That was actually really lucky timing.
Well done.
Because he didn't even have to force a fight. He's mid lane, it was bot lane. Why did he even fight?
Let's take a look. Why did he fight?
Yeah, why did he fight? I don't know, because bot lane Nahum is sitting there. They thought they could just kind of burst down with it, but now obviously all of Roccat coming in to fight, and it's a 5v4. So 2 kills for them, and nothing gained for Origen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that like little advantage that Origen earned earlier has kind of been given back over to Roccat. Now Roccat have a 1,000 gold lead. 22 minutes in, items continuing to scale up. I think it's important to keep track of Sartorius this game. His early roam to mid, very powerful. The Equalize and Flame Splitter almost able to turn that fight in Origen's favor, and he's already got an Hourglass and Leandries. So the potential for these next few fights, very, very high, and a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
Problem for Origen is like starting fights is all about Pekka, and then like taps ulti. Because Roccat, again, as you can see now, wants to play this 1-3-1 we mentioned earlier. Like Ryze top lane, Gnar in the other lane, and Gnar's gonna keep pushing down the Rumble over and over and start to get a bit more pressure. Then he can either roam or he can maybe get some damage on the tower. And top lane, you know, Betsy's more than fine sitting 1v1 against Nahun as well, and it's all about Origen's mid lane pressure. That's where Varus obviously can shove out the wave very easily, and then suddenly Pekka can move. And once you have mid lane control, the enemy team can't 1-3-1, because then you can roam in behind them. And then it's really easy to stop a split push.
Did I hear that correctly? Did Maxwell throw down Thrill of the Hunt? Yes, looks to be the case. Big leap forward onto Expeke. Here comes Nahun from the side. Teleport from Sartorius. He needs to get a good equalizer. Chain of Corruption is slowly starting to spread. Equalizer available, but not 5. Collateral damage from Wisdom. He doesn't have a flash available. Gets pinned into the wall. Locked down as well. And unfortunately,
it's another
gives up his line.
Man, it's another close fight. Maxlor jumping in. Really wanted to get onto Pekka, funny enough as well. He must have been looking for someone else. Couldn't get to that target and had to just kind of switch over for the cow. Where you're from, Trevor, is it a thing that you walk out to the fields and then people like tip the cows?
No, nobody does that to cows.
Is that a Danish thing then?
Why would you go and push a cow over?
I don't do it because I think it's really, like, I feel sorry for the cow. I love cows. I love animals. Like, my mom is from a farm and everything, so I love all that kind of stuff. But apparently it's a thing in Denmark that people walk around and they tip cows.
What?
I don't know why.
The hell are you talking about?
They do that, I'm just saying. So anyway, Max tried to tip the cow. It didn't work. The cow won this time, I'm glad.
And they end up trading 1 for 1, right?
And they end up trading 1 for 1, yes.
Sartorius did not use his equalizer there. But as we jump out of the replay, Sartorius does use his equalizer here. Maxlor jumps in through the hunt. So far, Wadid is down. Tabs gets traded. Expecting no ultimate available. He's tipped in the river. Roccat get themselves a 1 for 2. Didn't quite see the setup of the fight.
Boom! Bam! In your face.
Yep. And he wants a pair of snakeskin boots. And Hjarnan takes Nahun's life to get them. They also get a tower. Roccat winning back-to-back team fights.
Getting a lot of action here. A lot of fights. 3 members died on the side of Origen. It's been like 1 for 1, 1 for 2 every time, except for this one. Roccat getting a bigger and bigger gold advantage. They will get faster towards their 3 items. And it's gonna be super key. Like, they can play around the Gnar now because they are ahead. So they can have Gnar split push, and then they can time his TP with his Mega Gnar, which is so key. Like, one of the reasons some teams don't like Gnar is because he's so unpredictable in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, if he doesn't have Mega Gnar when he TPs in, he's useless. And the enemy team can play around it, kind of disengage when he comes in with Mega Gnar, and then it runs out, and then they can fight. But when you have the advantage and you can push with Gnar, then you can also dictate when to start fights.
And let's see if Roccat can, right? Because that does take, again, a lot of coordination, a lot of planning, a lot of timing, a lot of communication as well. The impact can be astronomical. And as it stands, no vision for Roccat means Origen are going to get their hands on this Cloud Drake. So that's the second of the game for them. The 16th dragon of the series. A lot of dragons. And Deficio, across the 3 games, 8 Barons have been secured. All 8 of them have gone to Origen.
That's actually impressive.
Yes. All 8 Barons went to Origen, and they're even at 1-1. Right? You figured that out.
That is... I mean, just the fact we had 8 Barons in 2 games. Like, you normally get like 8 Barons doing a week of LCS.
Yep.
Maybe that's a little bit wrong.
A little bit low, but not by much. Not by much.
Still.
All right, now Roccat are going to be in a position where they could potentially set up for some Baron vision. They're on the disadvantaged side of the map.
But again, Roccat doesn't even necessarily need Baron at the moment because they can play around these towers with the 6, and they're going for Sartorius.
They are indeed. Hourglass is available, not even going to get used. Look at that CC! Comboed nearly perfectly. Boulder toss from Foxy gets the kill, while the rest of the team takes the tower. That looked fantastic.
And honestly, Roccat are in full control right now. They're using the split push very well, sending Ziggs down when they want to finish the tower. Good engage onto Sartorius. No QSS from him, and Wadid knew that, and actually went straight for the kill. So now, again, as you said, Roccat, they have the map control. They can set up for Baron. They haven't managed to get one, as you also highlighted very well just before. This might be the game.
And is this where the heartbreak happens? Origen are now 4,000 gold down. They won game 1. They broke all the streaks, and will Origen be 2 games behind Vitality in 4th? this fight might be a big determining factor. Wadid is already down, but Origen, they're split up, they're surrounded. There's enemies on every single flank, and Roccat trade 3 for 1. This might be Baron.
Yeah, it feels like Origen has lost all focus. 3 guys were hiding in their jungle of Roccat. Sartorius and Tabs were really, really far away. And Roccat again gets one of these fights where it's actually Pekka starting it, but it's Roccat with the numbers advantage. And now, on Baron, Sartorius has no ulti for a few more seconds. That is so important.
No, piercing arrow. Where is Tabs? He's charging it up. There's already a kill. Baron secured. Tabs, he's going to get blown up as well. It's a delayed ace for Roccat. It's Baron for Roccat.
And that is the thing. Like, we have to highlight, these guys have been here on stage for such a long time. Like, there is player fatigue. And it seems like Origen are forcing unnecessary fights, and they get punished by Roccat, who's playing much better in this game here. This was the old fight that actually happened a long time ago. It's kind of throwback moment. I think this was in 1999 or something.
We've had a few of those.
Oh, that was Nahun going down. We're gonna watch it again. Whoop. Good sound effects.
Feels bad, man. That just felt brutal to watch, and this is going to be brutal to watch. If you are an Origen fan, Wisdom is going to at least be able to escape thanks to the QSS. Turn it back around onto Wadid. Miasma is going to prevent any of those movement spells. Pekka's on the front line. Unbreakable Will needs a few more seconds. He can't go. The unkillable tank just yet. Nahun's the target next. He's going to get dropped down. It's a double kill for Hyanin.
So Roccat now with Baron, with the kills, will get turrets as well. They might be able to break into the base. Again, much like we've seen in the other games, it always ends up with Roccat getting one inhib down. Then Origen fights back. But this is the first time it's been a 10k goal lead at 30 minutes.
Yes, this lead may be too sizable. Foxy gets a boomerang blade onto Tabs. He's going to hop forward. And Gnar is charging up. Inhibitor number 1 is already down. Foxy's onto the next one. Here's Gnar. 3-0 and 2. This has been a good performance. An inhibitor turret in the top lane is going to fall.
Oh, Sartorius coming in from the flank here. Origen probably feels like they have to fight their way out, but Pekka is in alone.
He is. He's used his ultimate. There's no support from anybody else. The captain goes down before the ship has sunk. And the next to fall is Wisdom. Golf claps here in Berlin as Sartorius gets surrounded and clapped by Roccat.
Is this game over already? Like, 3 guys are still dead for another 20 to 30 seconds. Baron buff minions. That's a quick one.
I think they're going to do it. Roccat at 30 minutes. They're on to the Nexus turrets. They've broken the hearts of Origen. They've killed Nahun one more time. And Roccat take down Origen.
So, Roccat didn't even feel like Game 3 was part of this series. The first 2 games were dead even, you know, super long. This one, Roccat and Origen matched each other for like 15, 16 minutes, and then suddenly Origen engaged fight after fight after fight while being outnumbered. And Roccat just punished him so hard.
For the first time in 2017, Roccat are the victors. 1 win and 7 losses. It was a tough series.
Now they're all hawking each other. It always gets a little bit awkward because not everyone really wants to commit to it. But you kind of have to now, otherwise you're the odd man out.
It's officio. With the very difficult situation Giants found themselves in today, 1 and 7. Roccat now 1 and 7. There is a tie for 4th place. Roccat and Giants will be playing one another in the not too distant future, and that result could be the deciding factor on who places 4th and who places 5th. Who goes to the promotion tournaments?
Just to repeat a stat or a number we had earlier, the bottom 4 teams against the top 6 teams in EU LCS coming into this week. 2 wins only from the bottom 4 teams. None of them against the top 6 ones. They hadn't won a series against them. So when we have these matches, we really emphasize how important they are, because we don't expect these bottom 4 teams to take a series against the top 6, because they've been so far away so far. Winning this is so, so key.
It absolutely is. And while we're trying to see if we can talk to some of the Roccat players, you know, let's talk about what this means for the other team on the Rift today. For Xpeke, for Origen, 0 wins on the table. Team Vitality, 2 wins.
Yeah.
Origen need to find a surprise victory somewhere. They play Giants on Sunday.
They have to win that one.
That is now a must-win series.
If you lose that one as Origin, then I don't think there's any chance you get out of the relegation tournament. And then suddenly you have to play that promotion tournament against Schalke and another, you know, well, I say against Schalke, they haven't won yet, but we expect them obviously to win.
Schalke, of course, had the perfect challenger split, undefeated for the first time. Not even Origen did that when they qualified.
No.
They lost one of the last games in their last best of 2, and of course, Schalke will be playing one of the LCS semi-finals either next Sunday or the following Sunday. I haven't seen the schedule just yet, and Origen are one step closer to being in that promotion tournament for a second time. However, this time, there's way less confidence that they'll be able to win.
Oh, it's a much weaker lineup than the one that played last split, obviously, with a lot of known names, but also Roccat one step closer now to catching Giants and actually getting out of this promotion tournament spot. And for Roccat as an organization, you're coming in with some of the players that they picked up very early on in the offseason. It was definitely not expected from their side that they would sit down here and this would be the first series they win in week 7.
Yep.
That is correct. So often in ULCS, our bottom teams are getting a few wins here and there. But there's been no upsets this split.
Watching Peke and Ladak, the last 2 Origin members to leave the stage. Just got confirmation from the production team that next week, Schalke 04 will be taking on Misfits Academy. The winner goes to the promotion tournament. Will they be facing Origen? It's a little too soon to say for sure, because both of them need to lock in their positions. Anyways, take a look at exactly who was victorious that game. And to have a chat to Max Law, it's Pyra sitting on the couch.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great lasting throughout all that series. I'm joined by Max Law, who also outlasted. Good morning to you, man. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. And you? Just a bit sleepier?
Yeah, just a little bit, but that's okay. You guys had, holy moly, one hell of a long series. But it started with a 78-minute loss. How did you get your heads back on straight to then pull the reverse sweep?
I think it was just wise words from our coach to remind us how we should play. We were really passive and scared in the first game, and we were on a timer, and then because we were so passive, we couldn't use our composition properly. Second game, we went for an easier composition and actually played way more aggressively, but it was still harder than it should have been.
Yeah, it definitely looked very difficult, but you guys really kind of got it back on in game number 3. We had a 78-minute game, we had a 55-minute game, but then you were able to close it out in 30. How did you guys do that at the very end of it all after a long series?
I think game 3 was mainly to do with the fact that we had the momentum. Like we were all happy that we won the second game. And also the fact that we were on a lot of comfort picks. And we snowballed the game decently correctly at one point. So we made a few mistakes, which we'll go over. But yeah, it was just really snowball comp and well played to our coach, I guess.
Absolutely, and I guess that's the next question. What can you really look back on from that series and take away from it? What was your biggest takeaway?
To play more aggressive, and it kind of showed our weaknesses because 78-minute games are really long. They shouldn't normally happen, you know. So we're gonna try to fix on our weaknesses and make sure that we address them. And like when we play Vitality on the upcoming Saturday, we will perform a lot better.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. How confident do you feel going up against Vitality? In light of everything, you still got the win, so that's got to feel great. I
think we're less confident than we are. To be honest, we were not even. We were pretty down because we had, 07. This win has given us a boost, but it's still a reality check. Like us and Origen are last, so it was meant to be like this. Like one of us will be the victors. Vitality is a bit stronger than Origen based on the standings, but they've also shown their weaknesses today. So maybe we can go into the games confident, looking to exploit those weaknesses.
Now, it all comes down to it. It's important to have the confidence, if nothing else. You talked about comfort picks as well. One more thing I want to go back onto is you guys talked about you'll focus on the little mistakes you made and watching the tape and kind of going back over it. How are you going to prepare for this matchup against Vitality? You've got one extra day now.
I think it's just gonna, because there is a difference between how we play in scrims and how we play on stage. Like in scrims, there's less, like there's more aggression, and more aggression is definitely good with a composite, like smart aggression, than there is with a composition that's early. But hopefully we can just sort this problem out. Like we know our weakness, so we just address it in game. Guys, let's not be scared. Let's actually be proactive and do something.
Step one and working on your way to fix it. Looking forward to seeing that matchup against Vitality. Congratulations one more time on your win, Max Lore. All right, with that, we are all wrapped up and done. We're going to go ahead and send it to the Late Late Show, or as we call it, the post-game lobby.
Thank you very much, Pyra, and welcome to the post-game lobby, where I'm with Stress and Officio to take a look back at tonight's games. Gentlemen, thoughts on the day overall before we proceed any further? Or have you shared too many thoughts about today's games today?
It's been a long day, safe to say.
Yeah.
I think we got close games. We kind of got what we expected. I feel like some teams are very like even, close in level, where there's some highlights, but there's some negatives as well. And like it made the games exciting because of what's on the line, and because none of these teams were just like way better than the other ones. So they were very like back and forth games. But obviously we had the remake, we had the 75-minute long game as well. So we had a bit of everything.
We're getting a little loopy towards the end of the day here. Yeah, definitely. But I want to look back on that last game of the series, specifically Roccat versus Origen. We heard Max Lore coming in talking about, we need to focus on being more aggressive. I think that's what we wanted to see. Do you feel like that carried through in the series from what we saw from them?
Game 2 and 3.
Yeah, not game 1.
Game 1 was... Oh, my God.
That's aggression, then.
They didn't get a kill in 49 minutes.
We were watching, too.
I've never seen that before.
I know you were there. I know you were there.
I've never seen that before.
I admire your ability to talk about League of Legends for 49 minutes without a kill. I find that very impressive.
I've just never seen that. Like that, Ari, Lee Sin.
Like the two of them.
Were you also yelling? Just
yeah, we...
Use ulti, someone, catch someone.
I was just saying, like, just flash charm people for, like, just anything you can.
That was our post-game analyst segment.
So,
So, here, flash charm. Next clip, Stress is like, so here, maybe flash charm. I don't know if you've noticed it. It's the D key and the E key also. Did not see that level of aggression, of course. Interesting game day overall. These teams will have a chance to play it out against each other later in the week, but let's take a chance now to look at the rest of this week's schedule, or rather the standings, not the rest of this week's schedule, after today, as they have been kind of greatly affected.
That's another mistake, Breakers. We're getting Shocks back tomorrow, aren't we?
Oh, what? When are we starting Caster Fight League, Martin?
Oh, you want to?
I don't want to be here for that one. I'll lose out heavily on that one. But a team that didn't lose out from today's results is Misfits. They actually locked a playoff bye as a result, or a playoff, not a bye, excuse me. Locked a playoff spot as a result of today's game. So over in Group A, kind of locks that group. G2, they're already there. Misfits, they're already there. Group B, not quite the same. There's still a little bit of turmoil over in the other group.
And I'm glad we're talking about teams in the same tier as the ones we saw today. Vitality got another win. Very important. I tried to make it a segment of going like G2 and Vitality were the same, but I kind of failed it. So stop looking at me. Stop looking at me and move on. Anyway, Vitality got a win. They got a buffer now. That's great.
Fantastic, Martin. Super great insight. Absolutely lovely. Well, earlier today, we asked you to pick up your tweeting machines, wonderful, and tell us who out of the bottom 4 teams is going to stay safe in the ULCS and why. Ryan tweeted that he wanted it to be Origen because he wanted to see Nahyun get that win one.
He got it.
He got it. He got that win today. Congratulations to Nahyun. Wasn't able to get the series end. A little grim, but you got to imagine that this feels pretty good for the guy overall.
Yeah, he was so happy in that moment as well.
Yeah.
You could see it. So I'm happy that Origen got that win. I think if they'd have had the reverse perfect split, I think that would have been like just crippling. I don't know what to. It's gone midnight. Like,
what's the opposite of perfect?
In the case of a split, losing every game?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so you say perfect split, what would be the opposite if you lose it?
I mean, it depends on whether you're wanting an unblemished record, right?
Okay.
It could be perfect in the worst of circumstances. But no, actually, I like Origen. They have made improvements, and we're still... I mean, it's week 7 now. Promotion tournament is taking place way in the future. You kind of have to look at promotion tournaments still for Origen, and they are getting better slowly. And the thing is, now is not the time to peak for them now that they've lost this game. The time to peak for them now is like promotion tournament. Make sure you've got everything in line for that, because there's some stiff competition coming up. We've got, of course, the ECS top 4. Everyone's talking about Schalke. Everyone's talking about PSG. Those two teams still have to qualify through Fnatic Academy, who added amazing. They've got Kigis, and Misfits Academy, who've looked strong in their own right. But I think the thing that you can say is, at least on the EU Challenger level, the majority of the teams that are in the top 4 of EUCS have been more active on the map than the bottom 4 LCS teams, especially looking at Origen and Roccat. Like, Schalke and PSG are not afraid to make plays early.
And if you look at like the last 2 years, it's been rare that we've seen a lot of EUCS teams kind of qualify into LCS. It's been like one every single time, but they've been very impactful every time. Like, it all started with Origen coming in after their split, obviously went to Worlds. You can take Misfits as an example from last split, who qualified in, are now one of the best teams in Europe. So we have a really good track record of getting at least one top EUCS team into the league, and they become like a pretty dominant force. Looking at some of these organizations bottom from the LCS, like you look at Giants, you look at Roccat, even Origen now, they've been down in this promotion area for not just this split, but also last split, you know, some splits ago from some of these organizations. So
here's the things. I feel like we thought Origen and Roccat to a certain degree last split were kind of doomed to fall out as well. And then we saw it. Right. But this was, of course, before the playoffs, because when we saw the Challenger playoffs, a lot of these Challenger teams fell apart. Yeah. Were not showing us the same performances in the regular season. And I want to know from you, Stretz, since you have a lot more experience with these guys, how do these teams compare to the last batch? Are these guys looking more consistent, looking more stronger, or are we still risking looking through that kind of that Challenger lens and assuming that teams are stronger than they are?
I think specifically Schalke have looked stronger than the entire pack. They've just come off 10-0 for the entire regular split. So it's been... In the last week, they had a few shaky patches where you can look at it and say, okay, even at a challenger level, they are making mistakes. But when you look at their play, the way that they, you know, play around their strengths, make early plays, and actually have a lot of a game around vision control, objective control, more so than most challenger teams. I think that is where a team like Roccat, if they're playing the slow style like from game 1 today, it's just going to be too much for Roccat to handle from Schalke.
I think also individual skill has to be highlighted on this team. Like the lineup, you know, Lulex is playing really well at the moment after he's kind of come back into the scene. Vander, of course, is way too good of a support to sit in EUCS right now. There's a lot of LCS teams who could use a support like him. Selfie's playing well as well. So a lot of these guys are really standing out. And they are able to match/beat some of the LCS players, current LCS players from the bottom teams, for sure. And because there's a lot of experience on the lineup, like the guys who've been here before, except for like Upset as the only one who doesn't really have a ton of experience, it should make Schalke like a favorite to obviously qualify for promotion tournament and be a favorite in it as well. But yes, we have seen teams crumble on stage when it really matters. You're playing for basically a spot in the LCS, a job as well. But I think overall they look really good. I also know from talking to the players, they practice a lot against like the top EU teams and they get like good scrims. So it's not just playing against EUCS, they get practice against LCS guys.
Well, who they're playing up against hasn't quite been decided yet. So let's take a chance to look at the rest of the league schedule, because we do still have a lot of chances, a lot of opportunities for these bottom teams to kind of change their fate, to get out of this terrifying zone to be in. We see tomorrow, of course, G2 versus Splice, Fnatic versus UL. Good games to see. Personally, I'm excited for Misfits versus H2K, but I feel like the important games to look at are once again Giants versus OG and Roccat versus Vitality.
Yeah, definitely still important games. The bottom 4 playing off against each other. Interesting you mentioned Fnatic Unicorns. Those games are always nuts. We'll see whether it's anything on the second series from today. But it's not over for Roccat, for Origen. I mean, Roccat obviously picking up a win. For teams like Vitality and Giants, when you compare them against a lot of the challenger teams, I actually think Giants and Vitality for the most part are favored. I mean, Giants, that second game was looking so clean.
Yeah, they played really well.
The first iteration was basically a one game. So for Giants and Vitality, a little bit more improvement, a little bit more of the same, and I think they should be safe. Roccat and Origen, that's where you got to start being a little worried.
Also, again, we see Giants keep the lineup, we see Roccat keep the lineup. Now, Roccat picked up a win against Origen, looked much, much better in the third game, where the first two were very even. So we have to look at like Origen and say, you made changes. Okay, you realized something was wrong. Was it too late the changes came in? Like, Pekka joins in, obviously, last week. He's here again this week. We know they've already signed the new jungler as well. They already announced it. He announced it on Twitter, Syncroft from the LVP, who I'm pretty excited to see what he can do for Origen coming in. So they're making changes now, but you needed these guys to be there from the start to kind of get enough practice and synergy together. So it's still kind of biting them that they're not peaking now when they're playing the other bottom teams, because losing here to Roccat is really, really bad for them. And Giants have looked stronger than Roccat. So that's Sunday's series. If Origen loses again, then I think it's lights out. I don't think they will have enough games left they can win to kind of catch Vitality.
Yep. I mean, lights up, we look at the Challenger Series, maybe they drop to Misfits. We know that they're the powerhouse team, but the other teams in the Challenger Series, who's going to take down Origen if they have Syncroft and it is improvement, if they have XPeke in the lineup and they're just fighting to survive, what other teams can take them down?
Well, there are some good storylines there. You've got Fnatic Academy with Amazing, who you obviously used to play on Origin.
Very vocal about his frustrations there.
That's a potential high matchup that I think Fnatic Academy, now that they've got Amazing and Kickers, I think that's the building block. And then PSG have the strongest early game of any of the Challenger Series teams. But they've faltered at major points in the game, whether it's Pilot or Blanc getting caught out or just mismanaging a Baron play. They should theoretically have drawn even with Schalke, but threw that game away. So I now am interested to see how PSG play against Fnatic Academy. It's Yellow Stars team versus Fnatic and their Academy team. Some good storylines coming into Challenger playoffs, but I mean, I can't wait.
I like how all of our storylines are from former Fnatic members, by the way. We've got
There's so many of them, man.
Member leaves to make a team. His enemy is now back on Fnatic. You got all these rivalries. They're coming in.
And I got so many new players now who maybe at some point are going to be in different teams, and everything at some point in Europe ties back to Fnatic. One way or the other, it's just going to tie back to Fnatic.
It's the beginning. It's the end. Well, this is the end for us. It's time for us to log off the client for now. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow as our coverage of the EU LCS 2017 Spring Split continues. I'm out of breath. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Smidgen too late. In goes Memento as Knight was tagging his way in. Curtain call, shooting, and that's the orb. It's EQ that picks up the finisher. Oh, Shockwave. Oh, they flash over. AOD gets EQ, and the Ash Arrow is going to hit him in the face this time. Kabashar looking to get the execution. There's a shutdown for the Croc. Hustling Memento, all taken low. Triple kill. The bolts from the Hurricane.
One down. We're fine.
Vitality health bars are melting right here. Memento getting a hop, a skip, a leap, a jump, and an ace for Giants. Giants, it looks like they're about to do it. No, they're dropping low. One more shot is all they need. And now Knight's on the portal. It's gone canceled, and he's got nowhere to go. We'll be going to game number 3. Vitality, what a turnaround, and they will take victory. It's not necessarily the case. You've got Schalke waiting in the wings, and you do not want to face off against them. As Kabashar is showing flashes, doesn't want to face off against him, but Hikyu with a bait and switch Inferno Bomb. I'm going. Go on that lane.
Overstep.
Go. The Nexus, they're going to get this one. Vitality, 2-1 on the series. He's bot lane. All right, Pekka's looking for Jan and flash forward. Connects with the roof. Chaos Storm comes out. First blood to El Capitan Pekka. Pekka comes in with the exhaust. This should be the second kill of the game. Pekka secures it. Nothing should be able to go wrong here. Like, this should be the first win. This wisdom, not again, dude. Second time. It's in your name. Origin win their first game of the 2017 season. They are cuss, bro. They've kicked tabs, they've killed Pekka, they're looking for Sartorius and Wisdom, and it's gone to hell! Origin get Baron, and then they all get killed! Come on, guys, I can't breathe! Unleash power onto Faxi! Nehun with the double!
Nice. Good job. Nice.
He gets kicked flashed on. And all of a sudden, Betsy's unstoppable. Roccat hold the record for the most kills in a single game. Roccat bounce back against Origin to even the series. Betsy's in so much trouble. Look at that, Miasma into Flame Spitter. And Sartorius burns down Betsy where he stands. Unbreakable Will needs a few more seconds. He can't go. Unkillable tank just yet. Nehun's the target next. He's going to get dropped down. It's a double kill for Yanin. They've killed Nehun one more time. And Roccat take down Origin.